Assalamu alaikum friends, and welcome to my series of Tohfatu Saniyyah. Today's lesson is totally on the Nasb case, and in this lesson you are going to learn how other letters and harakas and structure of the noun changes when they show their cases as they are in the mansub case. So let's learn what are those three cases. Before I start with the lesson and going into details with the sign for aayah signs, let's see how many signs are there in the nouns when they are in the Nasb case. So first thing that you're going to learn that in Asma'ul Khams, you will see the sign of Nasb as the special letter Alif represents the Nasb case. And what is the example for the Nasb case? For example, you can say from the Asma'ul Khams. Let's take an easy example. Aba. So you can see Aba is in the Nasb case. What happens? What is the next sign? You can see the next one. You will see a kasra. You will see a kasra in the Jama Muzakkar and a ya in the Muthanna and Jama Muzakkar, and another sign you will see hasf noon, deletion of the noon in the afalul khams. This happens in fi'l mudari. Let's take an example in everything. All the signs in Jama Muzakkar, what do you see? I'm sorry, in the Jama Muannas. Let's see in the Jama Muannas. An example of the mansub case when Jama Muannas in the mansub case. So let's take al muslimat. Muslimat. We add alif wa ta at the end, and if it is mansub, we give a kasra in Jama Muannas. Remember that. In Muthanna, let's take one example of Muthanna and one example of Jama Muzakkar. In Muthanna, we have a ya. So let's take al-kitabain. Kitabain. Ba with fatha and ya with sukoon and noon with kasra. So remember all these important structuring of the dual noun. There is a fatha before the ya. There is a sukoon over the ya. And there is a kasra after the ya, the noon. So we will discuss about this structure detailing in my coming slides, but for now just keep in mind all these three harakats in the making of a dual noun in mansub, and the same structure is used for the majroor also. So let's take one example of Jama Muzakkar, and that also in mansub case, that is I'll take al muslimin. I'll take the same example muslimin, and now you need to pay attention. There is a kasra before the ya. There is no harakat over the ya, and there is a fatha over the noon. So please pay attention on the structure. The kasra before the ya, there is no harakat on the ya, and there is a fatha over the noon. So we will talk about this inshallah in my coming slide, and the same structure goes in the majroor case also. Let's take an example in afalul khams. For example, yaktubani. So yaktubani is a dual afalul khams in marfu case, and we will do this in mansub lan, and I have to make it into dual noun. So what do I have to dual fail? So what do I have to do? Lai, I have to use a tool of nasb. Yaktuba. Lai yaktuba. Yaktuba. So here it is the deletion of the noon. The noon drops and it tells us yes, the noon has been dropped and there is an alif at the end, and this alif is not the alif of mansub representing the mansub case, but this is the damir. Please don't make a mistake. This is a damir in the fail mudare representing two people doing the action. So this is known as the aliful muthanna, damir aliful muthanna. So our sign is the deletion of the noon. So now let's see in the further slides. In this lesson, we are going to learn about the three cases, that is the substitution of fatha. It is shown by a kasra when it is substituted by a kasra, then when it is substituted by a ya, and lastly the third case when a fatha is substituted by the deletion of the noon. And this deletion of the noon happens only in fail mudare with afalul khams. Let's see the first case, niyaba alif anil fath, when this special letter alif is used instead of fatha. Let's see what the author of this book says. He says, قال وأما الألف فتكون علامة للنصب. So he says that the alif letter is the sign of nasb. In which case? In which category? Asma'ul khams. For example, رأيت أباك. So when you pay attention on the structure of the sentence, this is a fail. The jumla failure. So this is the fail ra'i and tu is the file. Then after file comes the maf'ulun bi. So this aba is afalul khams and it is now in maf'ul bihi position. Fail plus file and maf'ul bihi. So when it is in maf'ul bihi case, it is not showing its position by a fatha, but by this alif aba. And let me tell you another rule here. Why asmaul khams is showing its position by special letter alif? Just because it is in idafa construction. Now one may ask why, how it is in idafa construction. That means aba plus the damir kaf. Aba is mudaf and the damir added to it is the mudaf ilay. So you know when a noun is added with a damir, it makes an idafa structure. There are two types of idafas. One idafa is when two noun comes together and the other idafa structure is when a noun and the damir comes together. So whenever this small khams comes in an idafa structure, it will show its position by these special letters. So that's why the aba or the aha here is in mansub case by alif, showing its position by alif. Now, Mahi ad-Din, and now Mahi ad-Din, what does he says? He says, قد عرفت means you surely know that in the previously we discussed about Asmaul Khams, the rules, the condition, the shart of doing its i'rab is in the marfu case, it's wow. In the marfu case, we do its i'rab with a wow. Instead of alif, we will say abuka. If it's in marfu case, we say abuka. And don't ever make mistake about, seeing this dhamma over the ba. This dhamma does not tell you that small khams ab is in marfu case, but this wow tells you that ab is in marfu case. So never get mixed up with this wow, this dhamma. This dhamma is over the ba. Okay, so in the marfu case, it's shown by wow special letter. Then in the nasb, it is shown by alif, and the ya in the jar case. So now he is going to tell us about more information on this niyaba alif anil fath. So now let's see here. What does he say? Al-kalimat al-mansuba wujud al-alif means it has alif. Those nouns which are in mansub case has alif in it at the end. Akhrihi. So you need to pay attention that the alif is at the end. Akhriha. For example, ihtaram. Ihtaram. Now this is all jumla failure and these are all commands. So here you can see that ihtaram is command, and whenever you come in a command sentence, there is always a fail and a file hidden in it. So what is the file? تقديره ant. So here we have both fail and file. So the next noun, always after the command verb, you will find a maf'ul bihi. So that's why this asmaul khams Ab is showing its position in mansub by alif. Ihtaram abaka means respect your father. Unsur akhaka. So here unsur is fail plus file hidden and akhaka showing its position maful bihi by alif. Then zuri hamaki. Now why there is a ya at the end? This command is for feminine singular. This is ya mukhatiba. Zuri means a command is being given to a female singular. That means it has a fail and file taqdiruhu anti. Hamaki. Ham means the in-laws, showing its position by alif. Then nawifaka. Nawif, clean your mouth, showing its position by alif. We have fail plus file taqdiruhu ant. Now, لا تحترم ذا المال لماله. ذا المال. So this is ذو, and this ذو actually the dha with waw is in marfu case. The dha with alif is in mansub case, and the plus ya is in majroor case. So here it is in mansub case. ذا المال. فكل من أباك أخاك and حماك فاك ذا المال. These are all the examples of the mansub case. So you can see in all these asmaul khams, you can see it is showing its position by alif, and that's why we can make out that these are all in the mansub case. Now all these comes in which position? They are all in maful bihi case. And the sign is, how do you know it is maful bihi? The sign, when you do the Arab, you have to write, this is very important in the Arab, wa alamatu nasbihi al alif niyaba anil fath. It is representing the fatha. Niyaba means representing. So this alif is representing what? The fatha. So this is what in Arabic you have to say for the Arab. And all these, as I previously told you in the previous slide, that abaka, akhaka, they are in idafa structure because the noun has come with damir, so it makes an idafa in itself. So the damir is the kaf, and dhal mal is also in mudaf ilayh. Why? Because the dhu always comes, this structure with the dhu, dha and the always makes idafa in itself. Whenever it comes with a noun, they make an idafa in itself. So this is all about what Mahiyuddin has explained. And all these nouns you will not find anywhere showing its mansub position except by alif. They will, in any position, they will show their position mansub case by the alif and not by the fatha. So this is the explanation by the Mahi ad-Din. Now let's do some questions. As'ila. في كم موضوع تنوب الألف عن الفتح. So in which situation you will see the alif representing fatha? So there are in one situation that is موضوع الواحد فقط, that is in أسماء الخمس. مثل للأسماء الخمس في حال نصب. So you need to give an example where you will show that the أسماء الخمس is in mansub case. So نظف فاكا, I have given the same example from the previous slide. Faka, you can see it is showing its position by alif. Let's do the second one, that is the niyaba al-kasr anil fath. So now we will see the kasra is representing the fatha. So in which case we will see the kasra representing fatha? That is what the author of this book has explained. So the author Ajurumia says, wa amma al-kasratu fatakunu alamatan للنصب في جمع مؤنث سالم. So we will see kasra only in jama muannas salim when they are in mansub case. So now Mahiyuddin explains قد عرفت فيما سبق جمع مؤنث سالم. So we will see it only in Jama Muannas Salim. Now he will explain how it is in the Nasb case. For example, it has to be kasra in Jama Muannas. So for example, we will see here. The example is inna. So this is an inna sentence. So innal fatayati al muhazzabati. So we will take into consideration these two nouns. And you can see a kasra at the end of the jama muannath. So this is actually inna sentence, and when inna comes, what happens? This becomes ism inna, and ism inna is always in mansoob case, and this is sifa for fatayat. So it will also follow the same harakat. So this is also following the mansoob case. Yudrikna al-marj. So we are not taking this. This is an extra part of the sentence, but we will only focus on fatayati al-muhaddabati. So due to inna, al-fatayat is in mansoob case. So al-fatayat and muhaddabat, these two are jama muannas, and they are both in mansoob case because they are both sifa mausuf following the same position, that is the nasb. So the first one is ism inna, and the second thani is not or sifa, and it is also in mansoob case, and they both are showing what? They are both showing kasra instead of fatha, and you will not find this in any case, just in the jama muannas case. Let's do some exercises here. That is Niyaba al-Kasra anil Fat. That means using Kasra instead of Fatha. So in which case do we do that? In Jama Muannath Salim. So let's see the question first. It is Ijma al-Mufradat al-Atiya. Jama Muannath Salim Wahiya. Al-Aqila. These are all singular feminine nouns, and we need to make it into Jama Muannath Salim. فاطمة, سعدة, المدرسة, المهذبة, الحمام, and ذكرى. So now let's see the answers. These are the answers. Al-aqilat with alif and ta at the end. Fatimat, because this is a feminine name, it can be made into Jama Muannas Salim with alif wa ta at the end. Su'adayat. Then the alif makhsura has changed to ya in case when you make it into jama muannas. And al-mudarrisat, al-muhadhabat, al-hammamat. So when you make a feminine noun which has a ta marbuta at the end into a jama muannas, you see the ta marbuta has been deleted and alif and ta has been added. So in muhadhabat, you can see the ta marbuta has been deleted, al-hammamat, the same thing here, and dhikriyat, where you have an alif maqsura, it changes to ya, and alif and ta is added at the end. Let's see some examples I have given here in sentences. Ra'aytu al-Fatimat. Since I have to make this jama muannas into nasb case, so I have made a jumla fa'iliya where al-Fatimat falls into a maful bihi position. Ra'aytu, this is the fail, the tu damir is the fa'il, and al-Fatimat is in the maful bihi position. So I cannot give a clear fatha over it, as you know all the rules of the jama muannas. So this kasra is representing the nasb case. Ra'aytu al-Fatimati al-aqilati. Al-aqilat is a sifa for Fatimat. Fil masjidi. I've put these sentences into very simple ones so that you can only see how the grammatical rules are being used. So let's keep the sentences into simple sentences. Inna nisaa. So nisa is a jama taksir of al-mar'a. So an-nisaa is showing the clear fatha over it, as it is the ism inna mansoob case. Al-muhadhibat is sifa for nisa. Jalisatun, as you can see, jalisat is also jama muannas, but it is having a tanween over it. Why? Because this is khabar in nakira. Ra'aytu su'dayat. Since this is in maf'ul bihi position, so you can see the kasra representing the nasb case. Yadhhabna. Yadhhabna is for fail mudari jama muannas ila al-maktabati. Question number 3, Al-Kalimat al-Atiya Muthaniyat. All these words are in dual case, and you can see the dual structure at the end, Alif wa Noon, where Alif is the representative of the Marfu case. And let's see, what do we have to do? We have to make it into, first of all, we have to make it into Mufradaha, means to make it into singular, and then Ijma hazal mufrad jama muannas salim. Then you make it into plural jama muannas salim, and then you have to use them, the jama muannas, into suitable sentences. Let's read the words al Zainaban. So this is actually a feminine name in dual form. That means to Zainab. Hublayan and al Katiban, Risalatan, Hamrawan. So here you can see these are all with the ta marbuta, where when you add alif wa noon, the ta opens up and becomes an open ta, the both ta. And then you add alif wa noon at the end. Now let's see the answer in the next slide. These are the answers of question number 3 from Zainab. This is the mufrad actually. Zainab, Hubla, Al-Katiba, Risala, Hamra. Hamra is the color of the name of Al-Ahmar, and this is a feminine name for the color red, and this is the singular for the red color. So now we will make all these words singular nouns into Jama Muannas, that is Zainabat, adding alif wa ta. And since it's marfu, we'll keep this into marfu case. Hublayat, al-katibat. So how are you going to make it into marfu, that is in Jama Muannas? If it is marfu, we make it, we put a dhamma over the last letter. Hublayat, since it is nakira, we are putting tanween. Al-katibat, so a single dhamma. Al-katibatu, al-risalat, risalatu. Hamrawat, al-hamrawatu. So it needs a tanween here. Then making all these in suitable sentences. I have made only 3 of them, and let's make very simple sentences just to make you understand how they're used in sentences and avoid making complex sentences. رأيت الحبليات إلى المستشفى. So Hubla is pregnant women. So now how the position has been changed for Hublayat? If you can apply the formula of Jumla Fa'liya, we have Ra'ay fail, the ta with Dhamma is the Damir file, and whatever comes after the file is Maf'ul bihi. So Al-Hublayat, the Jama Muannas, is in Maf'ul bihi case, Mansoob case. So how do we know? Because of this kasra. As you remember the rule for Jama Muannas, the Mansoob and Majroor case is shown by a kasra. Ilal Mustashfa. So wada'tu, now we have the fail and we have the file. So I have made all in the maf'ul bihi case. Ar risalati, you can see the kasra ala al-maktabi on my table. Qata'tu al-wardatu wardata. So this is the maf'ul bihi wardata, and this is the fail, plus we have the file, and al-hamrawat. So warda, al-wurud, this is the plural of warda. Wurud, roses. And what color are the roses? Al-hamrawat. So this is sifa for the plural noun wurud. Jamilat, and Jamilatun is actually you can take al Jamilatun extra, you can make another sifa. This is my typing mistake, so this is another sifa for the red roses. You can say beautiful, the beautiful red roses. So this is a second sifa for Hamrawat. Niyaba al-ya anil fath. Now this is the second sign of the nasb case where you will find al-ya, the letter ya which represents the nasb case instead of fatha. So what is now the author going to explain to us? Let's see. So Ajrumiya says wa amma al-ya'u fatakunu alamata lin-nasb. He says that this letter al-ya'u is now the sign of the nasb case. So where do you see this ya? In two cases. Remember, this is very important. You see the letter ya in two cases. In tathniya, tathniya means the dual noun, and jama, now we are talking about the jama muzakkar, the male plural nouns in Arabic. Now Mahiyuddin explains that قد عرفت المثنى فيما مضى. Now you have already done the muthanna case, so you know every rule, all the rules of the muthanna noun, dual nouns. Now he's trying to explain that he says كذلك قد عرفت جمع مذكر سالم. So now he tells us that يمكنك أن تعرف نسب الواحد منهما بوجود الياء. So he says that you can see the nasb case where you will see a ya at the end. So when you see the ya at the end, what is the difference? Well, farq means the difference bainahuma, between the muthanna and the jama muzakkar. So now we are talking about the two cases, the dual and the jama muzakkar. Both shows the nasb case by ya. But what is the difference? This is very important difference between the dual noun and the jama muzakkar, where a lot of students are confused and makes the mistakes. So here is the answer. The farq, the difference bainahuma, between the two is the first one. We are talking about the muthanna here, anil ya fil muthanna. So we are talking about the ya in the dual case. So let's see. This is in the dual case. When you see the letter ya in the dual noun, yakunu ma qablaha. You have to see what is before that, before the ya. So it should be a fatha. Maftuhan means you should see a fatha before this special letter ya. So this is the major difference in the dual noun. Whenever you see a ya in the dual noun, you should always check there should be a fatha before a ya. And ma ba'daha, now what is after it? Before ya you should have a fatha, and what is after that? After that should be a kasra. That means in a dual noun, whatever the noun is, let's see, whatever the noun is, at the end we add alif and nun. So, sorry, this is in the marfu case. But what about in the mansub majroor case? Whatever the noun is, we add ya wa noon at the end. So, there is a rule that whenever you see this ya in the dual noun, you will always see a fatha before it and a kasra in the noon. So this is what Mahiyuddin tries to explain in detail, that in Musanna, whenever you see this special ya, letter ya in the dual noun, you always check the fatha before the ya and a kasra after the ya. That means this noon will always carry a kasra. And now he is talking about a ya in the jama muzakkar. Wa ya fi jama muzakkar, what happens? You should always see that there is a kasra before it. Now, and what is after that? A fatha. Just the opposite. So it is just the opposite. Now let's see what we have in jama muzakkar. Let's see, we have Muslim. I'll take very simple example as Muslim. So this is a singular noun. Now we make it into a dual. So what is in the marfu case? Musliman, alif wa noon. So this is in the marfu case. What is in the mansub and majroor? Muslimain. So this is muslimin, ya and noon. We add ya wa noon at the end. So now what is the difference? In jama muzakkar there will be a kasra before the ya and a fatha after the ya. So this is the major difference between the dual noun and the jama muzakkar. In both the cases, there is a ya. And the difference between the is in dual, you will see a fatha before the ya. As you can see here, a fatha before the ya and a kasra after the ya. And in jama muzakkar, it's just the opposite. A kasra before the ya and a fatha before the ya. I mean after the ya. Sorry for the mistake. A fatha after the ya in jama muzakkar. So this is the major difference that Mahi ad-Din is trying to explain. Now I would like to add one more thing here, is that you will see in dual there will be a sukoon over the ya. There will be a sukoon sign over the ya in the dual case. So this is another point for the proof that it is a dual noun. Whereas in the jama muzakkar, you will not find any harakat over the ya. Because in jama muzakkar, this ya, the special letter ya, is coming as a long vowel. So that's why you will not find any harakat over the ya. So remember, this is another point of proof that I have added in this explanation. We will see the examples what Mahi ad-Din has given us. نَذَرْتُ عُصْفُورَيْنِ فَوْقَ الشَّجَرَةِ. Now let's see the first sentence. So what do we have to check? Now when you see an Arabic sentence, first of all you check what type of jumla is this. Is it a fa'liya or an ismiya? So with the fa'il, you know it is jumla fa'liya. And how do we know that this noun is particular noun is in mansub case? First of all, you need to check the position of the noun, and then you need to check the structure of the noun. So now let's see this example, nazartu. Now fawqa shajarati is something extra, so we don't have to pay attention on that. We will just concentrate on this. Nazartu, we have the fail, the ta damir file, so we have fail and file. Anything that comes is the maf'ul bi after the file. So now this is confirmed. The position of Usfurain is maf'ul bihi mansub. But if I ask you that how do you know this noun is a dual? So your answer should be the presence of the special letter ya. So what are the other proofs? If I ask you what are the other proofs, so you will say that if I see the letter before the ya, there will be a fatha as we learned in the previous slide, and after the ya there is a kasra. So it is proved that this is a dual noun. And the extra information that I gave you in the previous slide is whatever the ya is, there will be a sukoon over the ya. So this sukoon also proves that it is a dual noun. So that's how you will check the structure of the noun and you will come to know that it is a dual noun. Now let's see what the other examples is. Ishtara abi kitabain, ahaduhuma li, one is for me, wa akhar, another one is for my brother, akhi. So now let's see this example. Ishtara, so this is also a jumla fa'liya. Abi kitabain, so this is the fa'il and abi is the fa'il, and anything after that is maf'ul bihi. So you can see the same structure, the proof, it has a ya, then before it has a fatha, after it has a kasra and a sukoon. So there are all the proofs that you can give to prove that this is a dual noun. And now that is all the explanation he has given here. The usfurain and kitabain are in the mansub case. Why? Because it has a maf'ul bihi in it. I mean, both the nouns are in maf'ul bihi position. And what is the sign? Alama here means sign. What is the sign that these two nouns are in mansub case? Before the ya is maftuh, ma qablaha, and maksur ma ba'daha. So the same proof that I was talking about, that fatha before the ya and a kasra after the ya. لِأَنَّهُ مُثَنَّى, that proves that it is a dual. And now what is Noon awad. Awad means instead. Now, whenever you want to make a singular noun into dual, for example, if I take Muslim, lim, meme at the end, I have a tanween. So when you want to make this noun into dual, you add alif wa noon. Why I'm adding alif wa noon? Because it is in the marfu case. By seeing the dammatain, I know this is in the marfu case. So I'm adding alif wa noon because alif represents marfu case. I'm adding alif. So what is the special letter here telling you that this is in muthanna case? Alif. The special letter alif shows this is a dual case. But what about the tanween? This tanween is represented by the noon in the dual case. That is called noon awad anit tanween. Instead of the tanween, you will see a noon in the dual case. You cannot put a tanween in the dual noun. As you can see here, kitabain or usfurain, you cannot put a tanween fatha or the tanween kasra in the dual noun. Instead, this noon letter will represent the tanween at the end. Let's do the second Jama Muzakkar. In the Jama Muzakkar, what you're going to see. Let's see the example. Innal muttaqina. So how do you know that this is a Jama Muzakkar? Let's see the proofs. Is there a presence of ya? Yes. Do you see any harakat over it? No. And is there a ya? Is there a kasra before the ya? Yes. So these are the proofs that there is a presence of ya and there is a presence of kasra before the ya. These are two proofs that is telling you al-muttaqin is a jama muzakkar salim. لا يكسبون رضا ربهم. ونح example, there are two examples. So نصحت المجتهدين. So this is our jama muzakkar. Is there a ya? Yes. Is there any harakat over the ya? No. And is there a kasra before it? Yes. So we have all the proofs that it is a jama muzakkar. انكباب على مذاكرة فكل من المتقين, these two nouns, and مجتهدين, they are mansub. Why? Because there is the presence of ya, since we are doing the case of ya representing the fatha. لكونه مفعولا, they are maf'ul. Why? Can you see the examples? إن المتقين لا يكسبون رضا ربهم. نصحت فعل فاعل and مفعول به. So this is in the مفعول به case and this is in the اسم إن case. اسم إن case is always mansub. وعلامة النصب, what is the sign of the nasb? It is the presence of the ya. And what is the other sign? Maksur means kasra ma qablaha. So the letter before the ya will always have a kasra before the ya. Al maftuh ma ba'daha. And this noon that you see after the ya will always have a fatha. So this is another sign of the jama muzakkar. لأنه Jama Muzakkar Salim. These are all the signs that tells you it is Jama Muzakkar. And Noon Awad at Tanween. When you make Mufrad into Jama, you change the Tanween into Noon. So that's why it is Awad. Noon is coming instead of Tanween. So that's why noon awad anit tanween. That's why you see the noun, the noon with the fatha at the end in jama muzakkar, and you see noon with kasra in the musanna case. The only difference between the musanna and the muzakkar is that in the jama muzakkar you will see noon with fatha, and in musanna case you will see noon with kasra. Let's do some questions. Exercises regarding niyaba, alya, and al-fath. So we will do the questions here. Al-kalimat al-atiya is kalimat al-atiya mufrada fathannaha kulluha. Make all these singular nouns into duals and then all make them into jama muzakkar, which the nouns which are possible to make into jama muzakkar. All cannot be made into jama muzakkar. So first of all, we will see Muhammad, Muhammadain. So there is the two proofs here, Fatimatain. Then this is the Fatima is actually a feminine noun, and when you make it into dual, you open it as an open ta and add ya and noon. Bakrain, Sabain, Kitabain, Namrain. You can see the sign. Qadain, Mustafain. So you need to check the word Mustafain. Let's see the Jama. Muhammadin, the kasra and the ya. Sab'in, the kasra and the ya. Mustafain. Now what is the difference? What's wrong with this word Mustafain? Mustafain, dual and Jama. Both are similar actually. If you can see the structure, both are similar and they both are used as Jama and dual. The second question, let's do about the muthanna which are in marfu case now, and we need to make this into jumla and make it into maf'ul bihi. So how you are going to make into maf'ul bihi, I mean mansub? The first thing you can do is make it into a maf'ul bihi by using jumla failure structure. So ra'aytu al-muhammadain fatimatain. So that's how you can make it into mansub maf'ul bihi. Inna sab'ain and kitabain. So using inna and using I mean the fail jumla failure structure. So you can make all these noun into mansub, these dual nouns. You just need to change the alif into ya and give a fatha before the ya. So now you know how to make duals by adding a ya and giving a fatha before the ya. Coming to the third question, in this question we will make all these jama muzakkar which are in marfu case. How do you know these are marfu cases? Because they have waw at the end instead of dhamma, and now we need to make it into mansub case. So how we are going to make jama muzakkar into mansub case? Just by adding ya at the end and a kasra before it. And in order to make it into mansub case, either make it maful bihi or make it ism inna. So here we can do this. I have three examples given. So any sentence you make it in a jumla failure, or you make it in an inna sentence. Innal khulafa ar-rashidin. So this is a sifa for khulafa. So instead of fatha in jama muzakkar, we are using ya and a kasra before it. Rashidin. Afdalu hazal umma. Yuhibbu an-nasu al-muftin al-mukhlisin. So these mukhlisin is sifa for muftin, and both of them are jama muzakkar, and they both are in mansub case. How do I know? Because I made it into maf'ul bihi. Innal aqilina hadirun. Hadirun is khabar inna, and that's why it is in marfu case. This is jama muzakkar actually, and aqilin is ism inna in mansub case. Coming to the last segment of this lesson, that is the niyaba al-hasf noon anil fath. That means when the deletion of noon comes, the deleting of the noon from the fail is known as niyaba, representing the fatha case or the mansub case. So let's see. Ajrumia explains, wa amma hasf noon, the deletion of noon. Hasf noon, hasf means to delete or to remove the noon. Fayakunu alamatan lin nasb. It is the sign of the nasb case fail only in the afalul khams allati raf'uha bi thabat noon. What does this mean? Raf'uha, when you see the presence of noon in afalul khams. For example, if I give you one example of yaktubani, simple example, yaktubu and yaktubani. Yaktubu, this is for singular, and then we have a dual, yaktubani, yaktubani. And this is the presence of noon here, and while we are seeing a fail yaktubani, we see the presence of noon. There is a noon, physical noon over there. You can see with your own eyes. When you see the presence of noon, that means this afalul khamsa yaktubani is in marfu case. So this is very important. The moment I use a tool of nas, for example, lay yaktuba, and what happens in this case? The noon is deleted in the mansub case. Yaktuba, the noon has been dropped or deleted. So when you see the deletion of noon, the absence of noon, that means now this afalul khamsa is in mansub case. Another proof, how do you know it is in mansub case? The tool of nasb lan. So these are the small detailings, how you recognize the structure of the fail and the usage of the tools in the case of fail mudare and specifically in the afalul khams. So let's see what Mahiyuddin has explained here. أقول قد عرفت مما سبق ما هي الأفعال الخمس. So previously you might have come in all these detailings and studied in the previous lessons. So now he is going to explain more on this أفعال الخمس. تعرف نسب كل واحد منها. Now, what is the sign that you have to know for the nasb case here? كل واحد منها إذا. So one of the signs that you can see in the afalul khams is وجدت النون. When do you find a noon in afalul khams? That means it is the sign of raf. Raf means marfu case. So with the visible noon at the end, you will know that this afalul khams is in marfu case. Now, how do you know that this afalul khams is in mansub case? When you see that noon is mahzufa, means it is deleted. Mahzufa means it is deleted. So it is now in the hala nasb. When you see the noon has been deleted, removed from it, that means it is in the nasb case. So let's see the example here. Yasurruni an tahfadhu. So here it is a fail, afalul khams, where noon has been deleted. And this is the first proof, noon has been deleted. What is the second proof? The tool of nasb is the second proof that this fail, tahfadhu, tahfadhu is in the mansub case. And next example is yu'limuni, sorry, it is yu'limuni min al-kasala an yuhmilu. Again, we have a afalul khams where noon has been deleted. And the second proof, the tool of nasb is present there. So this afalul khams is in mansub case. We have two proofs to prove that it is the mansub case now. So he explains here that فَكُلُّ مِنْ تَحْفَظُوا and يُهْلِمُ. Now these two fail mudare, فعل mudare, mansoob, bi'an. So he is saying these two fail mudare, that is the afalul khams, is in mansoob case bi'an with the tool of nasb an. And alama nasb hasfan nun. What is the sign of the nasb? It is the sign. What is the sign of the nasb? It is the hasfan nun. So in the i'rab, you are going to give this proof in your i'rab that these fail mudare are in the mansub case. Why? Because alama nasb hasfan nun, because the nun has been deleted. And wa. Waw al jama fa'il mabni. Now what is this fa'il mabni? What is this waw al jama? So now what you see here is the wow after, the wow at the end. This is not the wow letter representing the marfu case in the muzakkar jama, in the jama muzakkar salim. So please don't make mistake that this is the special letter wow that you see in the Jama Muzakkar. We are not doing the noun Jama Muzakkar here. We are doing the fail mudare, present tense. And we are talking about the fail mudare afalul khams, the five special fail mudare where you find a noon at the end. So when this noon was deleted, this wow was left behind, and this wow comes as the damir, which is playing the role of the file. So this tells you how many people are doing the action. So wow al jama always comes for the male plural. So you know that the male plural are doing this action, tahfazu. And in the next fail is the wow al jama here telling you the file. It is the male plural doing the action yuhlimu. So this is not the letter, but it is the damir wow, wow al jama. So that is what is being spoken here. Wow al jama is playing the role of file. Now this damir is always mabni ala sukun. This is very important point in your Arab. It is always this wow al jama, whenever it comes, it is mabni ala sukun. Though you don't write the sukun over the wow, but it is always assumed ala sukun, mabni, made mabni, fixed on the sukun. Fi mahall raf. So damir are always in the raf case, always marfu. كذلك متصل بالألف الاثنين. Now you will come to know when the ألف الاثنين is at the end in the أفعال الخمس. Now you came with wow, examples of a wow in the أفعال الخمس here. Now we will do one example where Muhyiddin has given an example of أفعال الخمس where ألف musanna is added. I mean, it's not added, but there is the alif full ithnain at the end, representing the damir for two people. So now let's see the example. Yasurruni, and so you can see the tool of nasb and a fail mudare afalul khams with the deletion of the noon. So my original fail mudare was tanalan with the noon at the end, but due to this tool of nasb, the noon has been deleted. What is left behind? The damir aliful isnain has been left behind because damirs are never deleted. And this aliful isnain tells you that two people are doing the action tanala. So wal muttasil bi ya al mukhatiba. Now ya al mukhatiba. Now again there is an example of afalul khams where you will see the damir ya mukhatiba at the end. Now this has been made into mansub by deleting the noon. Because you have a proof that the noon has been deleted and there is a tool of nasb. Tufarriti. So this afalul khams is in mansub case. Two proofs are there. First, deletion of the noon, and the second proof is the presence of tool of nasb. So the damir ya has been left behind and noon has been deleted. This ya is the damir only and only it comes for the feminine singular. That's why it's called ya mukhatiba, for the feminine. Only single female is doing the action here. So these are all the examples of the afalul khams. Afalul khams with the waw al jama at the end, afalul khams with aliful isnain, and afalul khams with ya mukhatiba. Let's do some exercises related to niyaba hadfan noon anil fath. So let's see here. The first question here is istimal kalimat al-atiya marfu'an marra. Once you need to make this in jumla, make it into marfu, and then another you need to make it into mansub in a sentence. So let's see. I have given some few examples and made very simple sentences just to make you understand how the structure of the noun changes. هذا الحديقة واسعة. So you can see in green the hadika word is in marfu case. Now when you make it into mansoob, and I have purposely made it into dual, because since we are doing the muthanna case, we did in the previous topic the muthanna case. So let's see, ra'aytu al-hadiqatain. So there is a typing mistake. There should be a fatha over the qaf, hadiqatain. And khudh hazal qurtasain. So this is muthanna and dual and mansoob actually. Haza qurtasun. So you can see in green the tanween, and it is in marfu case. Sadiqan in marfu case and mushtahidan. So I have done one dual case in marfu case with alif and one in the muthanna case, I mean in the mansoob case. Inna sadiqaini mushtahidain. The same sentence I have done in dual and mansoob actually. So mansoob here, it is in ism inna case. Let's see the next slide. Let's do the questions regarding the whole lesson here. First, we will read the questions and then we will do the answers here. So the question here is, Mata takunu al-kasra alama lin-nasb. When is kasra representing the mansoob case? Mata takunu al-ya alama lin-nasb. When is the ya representing the mansoob case? So fi kam maudu yakun hasfan noon. So you need to give, when do you see the hasfan noon? Where do you see the hasfan noon as the sign of mansoob? Masil li jama muannas al-mansoob. You need to give examples of jama muannas in mansoob case, 2 examples. Then you need to put proper haraka according to the position in the sentence. Masil lil afaalul khams mansoob. You need to give examples of afaalul khams. So let's just mark it down. You need to give the Jama Muannas Salim with Mansoob case. You need to give examples of Afalul Khams Mansoob in Mansoob case. Then you need to give the examples of Jama Muzakkar Salim Mansoob. Then Jama Muzakkar Salim Marfu. Then you need to give Muthanna Mansoob and the examples of Musanna Marfu and examples of Afalul Khamsa Marfu. So now we will do the answers. The answers to the questions, the first one, where do you see a kasra instead of a fatha in Jama Muannas Salim? Where do you see a ya instead of fatha in Muthanna and Jama Muzakkar? We add a ya instead of a fatha to make Muthanna and Jama Muzakkar into Mansoob case. Where do you see the deletion of the noon? It is Afalul Khamsa only. The second question, Masilli Jama Muannas Salim, and make it into Mansoob case. How do you make into Mansoob? By only by making it into Jumla Failure, using it into Jumla Failure, and making it into Isme Inna. Ra'aytu al-mudarrisati. What is the sign here that it is in Mansoob case? The kasra, representing the Mansoob case. Inna tabibati. So this kasra is representing the mansoob case, and it is now in a position of ism inna. Mushtahidatun is the khabar inna. Then the next one is in tahfadhu. This is actually the examples of deletion of the noon from the afalul khams. This is the tool of nasb. Tahfadhu, the noon has been deleted. This waw is actually waw al-jama, the damirs. Why? Because we are doing the fail mudare afalul khams, and in fail mudare the damir is added at the end. The waw, the alif and the ya, these are all the damirs representing the number of people doing the action. So the waw is representing male plural. Lan yal'aba, this alif is representing the dual, 2 people doing the action, and this is aliful muthanna, damir aliful muthanna. Lamma tashrabi, this ya is actually ya mukhatiba, damir used for only single feminine. Lamma tashrabi. And now we will do examples of Jama Muzakkar in the Mansoob case. Al-Muslimin, Al-Katibin, Al-Mudarrisin. Let's do the other question. questions and we have the answers here. The Jama Muzakkar in Marfu case, Al-Qadimun, Al-Qatilun. So you can see the presence of waw. So this waw is actually representing what? The Marfu case. Don't get confused with the damirs and this waw. This waw is coming as a letter to show you that it is this is a marfu case, and moreover this is a noun. Al-Qadimun, this is a noun. Why? Because you know there is lamat tarif, the noun, or the proof of a noun is that it can accept lamat tarif. So this is a noun, and the damirs are only found in the verbs. Please remember that. Though these waw, alif and ya may look similar, but you need to see that this is an important point where students does make mistake. They see this wow and they get confused whether it is a fail or a noun. So for the noun, it accepts lamat tarif, and the damirs are always in the verbs, not in the nouns. Al-qalamain. So these are the nouns which are in dual. And how do you know it's dual? The ya with sukoon, mim with fatha. Al-babain. Al-hadiqatan. These are the dual in marfu case. The alif is representing the marfu case here. This is a noun actually. Al-hadiqatan, sadiqan. And this is the afaal khams, but it is in marfu case. Yal'aban. How do you know that it is in marfu case? The alif is showing you that it is in marfu case. Yal'aban, dakhalan, yadkhulan. So it should be not dakhalan, it should be yadkhulan. This is actually a typing mistake. Yadkhulan. Yadkhulan. So with a ya harf mudari. Yadkhulan. So with this we have come to the end of the lesson number 10, which was the representation of the mansub case. We have done three categories, that is the kasra representing the mansub case, the ya representing the mansub case, and the hasf and noon in case of the fi'l mudari, afalul khams. We learned about how they represent the mansub case. And now a total new lesson is coming, that is alamat al-khafd. Al-khafd is actually a new word used in the higher grammar instead of majroor. So we will now study all about the majroor case in my next lesson, inshallah. Till then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.